our podcast is about your guys' journey in music and how you got to where you are now. And of course, starting the band and in the new record you have coming out, Genesis.
Yeah, I was looking up your podcast, man. It looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Check out some episodes. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Did you guys both grow up together, meet later in life? Are you both from the same area?
Go for it, Brian.
We're from the same area. We met maybe about 11 years ago, something like that, maybe a little bit longer. So we didn't grow up together. I'm a little bit older than Gabe. But yeah, we met on pretty much on a tour, our first like European tour, like backing a French chanteuse. And that's where we kind of got to know each other a little bit more. We'd known about each other just being in town, being musicians on whatever in the scene.
Right.
The first time we had to work together. Yeah.
Both from Tucson? Gabriel, are you originally from? Yeah, okay. Both. Yeah. Originally from Tucson. Well, talk about how did you get into music, Gabriel?
That was, man, I grew up with, I was lucky enough to have a dad who, he's got the baddest ass collection of music you could ever imagine. I grew up like surrounded by vinyl, by jukeboxes, and seen live music since the age of 1. Wow. And kind of it was like this natural transition, which I think we kind of forget sometimes, but a reason Brian and I work together so well is we both come from sports backgrounds. Like I grew up playing baseball, Brian basketball, and both with fathers who coached our teams, and grew up in this kind of competitive environment. And at least for me, that transitioned so smoothly into picking up a guitar and just like keeping that mindset of working hard at it. And
having a drive.
Yeah, and that started with playing like punk rock and stuff, and from punk to death and black metal in high school, and then realizing somewhere along there that Townes Van Zandt and Hank Williams were far more punk than anything I was hearing. And
right,
it's like, all right, I got to learn how to write some songs.
Well, how about you, Brian? How did you get into music?
So yeah, like Gabe said, it is really interesting that we both come from like more of like an athletic background, and I think at some point we both just decided that playing guitar was way cooler. For me, it was like growing up in that post-grunge era where like, you would hear bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden like on the radio, and you could actually go to the store and buy like tablature magazines and like learn those songs. So this was, long before you could just hit up how to learn a song on YouTube. YouTube wasn't even an idea at the time. So it was just like a cool thing that me and my friends were doing at the time, just like picking up guitars and learning. We had like a program at school. It was like a mariachi program.
Oh, that's cool.
So there was tons of guitars. It was a bilingual elementary and middle school, and there was one drum kit and like 30 guitars. And I really wanted to play drums, but I figured I wasn't going to get any reps with just one kit and like 60 kids. So I went with the guitar and just like kind of spent all my time. I started playing a lot less basketball and started reading a lot more tablature and just learning all those songs that were kind of big at the time. And one thing leads to another, and I ended up getting a classical guitar scholarship at the University of Arizona, and stopped pursuing basketball, which probably would have led me down that junior college route. Which could have been, that would have been an interesting
you could have been in the NBA.
Junior college, I don't know. Might have been a trainer for like a high school team or something. Right. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
but having gotten into a school for music, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was kind of the beginning of like a very serious formal training, and certainly has helped me navigate a lot of the sonic problems that I've faced, especially with songwriting, crafting, and arranging, and having that foundation has really been super helpful for me personally as a writer and storyteller.
When did you start writing songs? Was it around the time that you were learning guitar?
Yeah, I think like in 6th grade, I probably maybe my mom still has some cassettes. I'm sure they're fucking terrible. But
yeah, I want to hear those.
Man, I was
Rarities
listening to bunch of Marilyn Manson at the time, so I'm pretty sure I just was trying to rip him off.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sixth grader ripping off Marilyn Manson.
That's cool. What about you, Gabriel? When did you start playing and writing music?
You know, it was probably about 12 years old when I got a guitar, an electric guitar for Christmas. And I remember just a group of my buddies, like we would all skate together, and and a couple of us got instruments, and it was like, all right, you're going to play that, you're going to play that. And definitely, like, we started with a couple replacements covers when we were in middle school. And
That's
then
cool.
right away was like, yeah, it was it all to realize like we just wanted to write music like that. So kind of the same circle of friends I grew up with, we started doing kind of just straight ahead punk stuff, and transitioned into more like technical metal and stuff when we were in high school. And I'm super grateful for involving, like, as invested as I was in that, just because like the intense song structure is really translated well into writing with XIXA and with so many other projects. But yeah, I was around like 18 or 19. I realized that that wasn't going to last, and that I needed to start writing my own music that I could play on a guitar with my voice. And yeah, just evolved from there. And of course, getting to know Brian, like, that was like just this huge step up of us collaborating together. And I feel like this record, especially now, like Genesis, is the truest representation of each of our worlds and backgrounds really coming together in the perfect light.
Interesting. Well, both you guys have what, solo stuff out, right? Solo records, or am I?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I thought. Okay. So were you releasing stuff on your own and then ended up meeting? Like, how'd you guys meet? And like, cause you said you met in Europe, right? Like opening up for a French artist.
Yeah. I had like a label for the first two, up until recently, basically. I had labels, kind of working with management and labels and stuff. And that, I mean, you know, you work with those types of people, and that's an education all in itself, right? Like that's
right.
You know, and some of us have crazy stories, myself included. And I'm not really I'm not really playing that game too much anymore. And it's nice to be having this new record, and we do have a label, and we really are like, everything is set up in a way where it kind of finally, for the first time, like at our age and at this place in our career, where we feel good about everything, including not just the music making, but like the people we have working around us, our team, you know. It's really important. Something I can't say I've really had before.
Wow. And you were both on the road as solo artists? Is that what happened? Or
we were
bands that kind of met up
there?
there?
We were in bands, like, I think around the time we first actually met was we probably played a show together. I had a band called American Black Lung. It was kind of some MC5 Detroit rock and roll shit. And
oh, cool.
Brian had a band called Mostly Bears. It was just doing so well at the time. And I think we played a show together, and that was really when we first met. And then just happened so quick where, this French singer in Tucson, Marion Dessard, invited, Brian was playing guitar, I was playing bass, and our friend Sergio Mendoza, who's got so many great projects here in Tucson, he was playing drums. And Brian and I would open the shows, each with a short solo set. And actually that was a tour where, for the first time, we started exploring this music called chicha, from this 70s Peruvian form of cumbia that inspired and sparked everything that is XIXA now.
Wow.
And it all started right then. Yeah.
Did you both find that genre separately, or did one of you find and were like, you need to check this out, like this is so rad?
That was all Brian. Brian played, well, strangely, it was also a collaborative thing, in the sense that Brian was on a solo tour playing this bar in New York. And at the time I had a project that I was covering some old cumbia songs, and was covering one specifically called Ojos Azules, is an old Peruvian folk song.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian wrote me just saying he was playing at a Peruvian bar that night and was going to cover it. And the owner heard it, handed him a CD. Weeks later, like getting home, Brian whipped the CD out. Like, you get so many of them on tour, and thankfully he pulled this one out. And it was a compilation that the owner of the bar released called The Roots of Chicha. And it was the first compilation of all this music. And long story short, Olivier, that owner, his record label put out the first XIXA releases a few years later. It just all came full circle. Yeah.
That is awesome. The bar owner did.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's got, he has a bar called Barbez, as well as a label too called Barbez, and it's more like world music based.
Mm-hmm.
But he kind of is almost single-handedly responsible for this emergence of chicha, like Peruvian psychedelic rock and roll music, essentially. That, I mean, Gabe and I just started playing it on tour just to like throw it into a set, a song or two, and it would always just take off. Like, it was kind of embarrassing how the cover song just got
Killed
so much
it.
traction. You know, but you kind of just keep tabs on that stuff. And you're like, man, what if when we get home we just start like a chicha cover band, and like, just so we don't have to get jobs, we can just do restaurants and play parties and just like kind of subsidize our solo endeavors. And that was initially, like, honestly, that was like our whole big plan, was just to not have to get jobs with the chicha cover band. So we like blew up really fast here in town, like really, really fast. And it started to overwhelm us to the point where we're like, damn, I think we have something special here. And if we're going to take this seriously, we need to start writing our own music and kind of ditch the covers, you know, slowly, and change the name, because at the time we were called Chicha Dust. And it really was a placeholder. We didn't have any like online presence, but we somehow got invited to like South by Southwest as official art.
Wow.
Like all this stuff that was like super punk rock. Like, the less you cared, the more people wanted to like have you.
Right.
It was crazy.
We put no effort.
Yeah,
we prided ourselves in no rehearsals, no internet presence. Like,
show up and play.
It was a blast. Yeah.
So a couple years of that, and I was like, damn, I guess we better I guess we should take this seriously, you know, if we're gonna do anything. So yeah, changed the name and started writing stuff in an original context, and start kind of honing our sound, which is still rooted in chicha music, but certainly has taken on more of the personality of the band itself. You know?
Okay. Yeah. Well, how did the audience respond when, like, was it a slow burn as far as like replacing some of the covers with the original stuff, or was it like pretty quick where you're like, you know what, we're just going to ditch all this, we're just going to go straight out and go original songs?
We were very conscious of that, because especially in Tucson and Phoenix, like, and in Arizona in general, it was like we knew that would be a thing. Like, we were starting to write original music that was a lot more based on songwriting, and not so much just writing straight party songs. And
Right.
So we were very conscious of transitioning slowly, but man, I think it only just expanded our audience, and we still incorporate the chicha covers into our live shows, and we definitely, like Brian said, we incorporate that style of music heavy into the songwriting that we're doing now.
And is it basically the two of you, and then other members are like, how is the band dynamic? Because Brian, when you're saying earlier that one of your members is in LA and one's in France, and you guys are kind of all over the map.
It's a 6-member band. So the members we've had for a long time now are Gabriel and myself on guitars and vocals. And then we have a keyboardist, Jason Ehrman, who's from Nogales, Arizona. So that's, you know, border town. Jewish kid from a border town. I thought Jason was Mexican for like the first 10 years I knew him, I swear.
Like, why can't you
got
speak
like
Spanish?
he's got an accent and everything, and I'm like, wait, what?
That's awesome.
So yeah. And then our drummer Winston Watson, he's the oldest member of our group, and he used to play with like Bob Dylan for like a good amount of years in the 90s.
Whoa.
And, you know, like Warren Zevon and Alice Cooper, and has all these crazy, fantastic stories that when we're on tour, he'll just bust one out, and we're like, what the hell? How have we not heard that one? So he's kind of like the guy that when things get crazy and Gabe and I don't really have an answer, we know we can always go to Winston because he's literally been there before. Like, he's done it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just nice to have that safeguard in Winston. He's in LA right now, working on Joaquin Phoenix's house or something like that. I'm not sure.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Our current bass player is he's French. He's living in Clisson, which is like a village outside of like Nantes, like the northwest of France. And we miss him. It's a bummer. He came down here actually for South by Southwest. This album was supposed to be released. Like, it was already supposed to be released, and we're supposed to do this whole rollout beginning with South by Southwest 2020. So while he's on his flight, South by Southwest gets canceled, right? And he's supposed to be staying at my house, and we have like photo shoots and music videos and all this stuff planned for like 3 weeks. And of course that
all goes out the window.
Yeah, and it was pretty crazy. And that's we luckily got him back. It was actually kind of close because it closed up all the borders. But
getting him back home.
Getting him back
I didn't think about that.
to France. Yeah, it was pretty nuts here at my house. But he's a pretty frantic, nervous, energy kind of guy to begin with, and
didn't help the pandemic.
Yeah, just like having all of his, French-speaking family and friends like so far away, and like the threat of not getting to see them. I was joking with him the other day that he could still be like sleeping in my backyard 6 months later,
Yeah, right.
Like,
easily if he would have got stuck here.
Yeah.
Well, how does that go? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say we have a percussionist who's just moved to Tucson from Phoenix, Caleb Michel, and he's the youngest member of our group, and he's fantastic. So that rounds out the 6-piece.
So 4 of you are in the area-ish, right? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, then how did the band how did you get the members? Like, how did you get the guy from France and your drummer from Los Angeles? Was that?
It was all
super.
It was all super organic. Winston has been our drummer. He's been a staple in Tucson for as long as I can remember. And
okay. So he's originally from Tucson, and then he moved to Los Angeles?
Not originally, but he definitely calls Tucson home.
Okay.
It was just through some coincidences, started playing music with him. Jason, our keyboardist, we all kind of came together around within a year of each other, and really started playing music together. As far as like Inky, our bass player in France, that was Brian and I touring out there with our solo projects, and he was filling in on bass for us. And we had a bass player here in Tucson with XIXA, Jeff Hidalgo, who is also on a few of the songs on the new record, but he wasn't able to tour at the time, and we knew first person we thought of was our bud Inky out there, and he just picked it up right away. So yeah, there's never been any kind of like forced thing in this band, which I think is what's made it so special for us. Is it's every single piece of it has moved organically, including the members, the music, the original songs coming out of that original Chicha music we were covering. Everything's just had a natural flow.
And you put out EP and a full length record prior to, and then of course a new one coming out, or do you have more music out than those two?
We've done there was the first EP, Shift and Shadow, that was followed up with Bloodline.
Yeah, the full length, right?
The LP, yeah. And then we put out another EP called The Code.
Okay, I just saw that one, The Code. Cool.
Yeah, and then a couple singles here and there. I think the most special that comes to mind right away is one we did called Tombstone Rashomon, that was written for an Alex Cox film.
Wow.
Did notable director there.
Yeah. And so you got the opportunity. You guys had the opportunity to write for the film.
Yeah, he was in town, and through word of mouth, got a hold of us. He was doing his own take on the story of Tombstone, and got a hold of us. There was one guitar player who did the rest of the soundtrack, and then the outro is our take on the film and the concept in general. The film was of the same name, Tombstone Rashomon.
That's awesome. Like, that must have been a pretty cool experience watching the film, seeing your song on there. I mean,
it certainly was. It's just cool to be involved.
Did they like premiere it or anything, or did you guys get to go see it like in a big theater or anything?
There were some premieres. I think we were on tour when it premiered, but just working with Alex in general was such a treat, and to continue a friendship with him. And we've got another pseudo collaboration with him. My neighbor across the street here, Hal Gelb, he just finished up a film that he co-wrote with our friend Jeff Marslet, and Alex Cox is one of the lead roles in the film. Brian and I are in the film. There's a couple XIXA tracks in there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it just keeps the wheel turning.
Yeah, and check out our IMDb profiles here soon.
Yeah, heck yeah. I'll see you on the what is it, Academy Awards or something?
Yeah,
Oscars, there you go.
Yeah. I don't think they give Oscars to the stoner B-roll guitar players.
They might.
Sure they do. Sure they do.
Best lead stoner guy in a film or something.
Oh, man. We got this.
I think we lost Gabriel. He'll come back, I'm sure.
Oh no.
It's all good. Well, okay, Brian, with the first EP that you guys put out, Shift and Shadow, what would you say like the big milestone from that record is for you guys?
I think just changing our name. That was like right around the time we changed our name, and we got signed with Barbès Records, and they believed in us enough to put some money into us and release something that was kind of outside of their world music roster.
Sure.
And for us, I think it was just like, because we record, an important side note is that we record and produce and mix everything in-house,
Oh, wow. That is cool.
So we're kind of like a one-stop shop. And so that means we can kind of tinker around with sounds and like choose where we want our sonic like DNA to go and how we want people to consume it. So that first EP is interesting listening back, because it's really like our first go at not doing chicha covers and just seeing if people could digest this music that we were doing, which was much more songwriter oriented, but still had that infectious chicha melodies mixed with like grooving like cumbia rhythms. So it's like a new style of music altogether, and it's not really, I don't think you accomplish that in one EP or one album or even two albums. It's something that your audience has to grow with you if you're like building a genre from the ground up,
Yeah, totally.
Let's call it a subgenre, because obviously it's a genre that it came from.
Yeah. But with that, you said you guys do everything in-house. Do you have a studio?
Yeah, it's called Dust and Stone Studio. It's here in Tucson, Arizona.
That's
and
cool.
Gabriel runs it. So he has other projects there that are, they come in and they pay money to record or whatever. Sometimes he produces. He just produced some solo stuff that I'm doing. But him and I produced all the XIXA stuff there together. And
that's awesome.
Mix it there and everything. And I mean, it really saves a lot of money, but also, we're capable of doing it. So why not just do it yourself?
Right.
I mean, we know more than anybody else what we want to sound like, at least at this point.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, it'd be nice to pass the baton over, but for now, this is kind of the best thing we got going,
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if I can find Gabriel. Did he? I lost.
I don't know
him.
what's up with him. Let me see what's up with him.
Yeah, if he can't get back in, we'll just go. We'll keep going.
Okay. Text him. I wonder if his internet got turned off.
It kept like it was getting On my
Oh,
end,
really?
I mean, I can see like your internet looks good. Like it's weird. I can see on Zoom, and his was like yellow and then red, and then it would like his picture
Oh,
kind of cut
no.
for a second. But yeah, he was gone. It sounded fine.
So he's
Yours
not
is
responding
fine.
to a text, so
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Maybe we should proceed.
Yeah, we can proceed. No worries.
If he comes back around, we'll see him. He hasn't texted, so maybe his internet, something funky happened.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, we can keep going. No worries.
Yeah, you guys have a crazy schedule, I saw. It's like constantly doing interviews and stuff.
Yeah, we have a lot. Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
It's
man.
good. It's kept me busy.
Yeah, I saw Asaf Avidan was one of your artists that you had.
Yeah, he's great.
I don't know if Gabe was on that. We did a session with him in Tucson. Yeah, he was recording an album here, doing demos. I forget what was going on, but yeah, so I met him. That was
cool.
fun. A couple days with him and his band.
That's awesome. Have you been able to, like you were talking about when COVID hit, you guys had a whole game plan going, and you know, you had your videos ready, and oh, here he comes.
Okay.
I'll ask this question again in a second.
Gotcha.
He's back.
And you're sideways.
Hey, sorry, y'all.
You're sideways, Gabe.
There we go. Fucking phone's been killing me if it's not plugged in charging.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Perfect.
All right.
Oh,
there we go.
You went back sideways.
Oh, no.
There you go.
All right.
You're good. Right on. Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, we were talking about the Shift and Shadow record and how that was. I asked Brian what his milestone from that album was, and I want to look at the next record you guys, or the full length Bloodline. What would you say, like from that album? What would your biggest takeaway be? What would be the big milestone from there, Gabriel?
I think that was definitely like for myself personally, full realization of the potential of production with this band. Like Shift and Shadow in the earlier recordings, we were definitely like still kind of sorting how we worked together, how we wrote together, what texturally we were going for, aesthetically, and aesthetically in the music. And I think Bloodline, it really started to show with the sound design aspects, with the focus on, or I think the potential of the songwriting being the focus in our music. And yeah, I think from there, it's just continued to evolve. Like we've only just expanded on the ideas that started in Bloodline.
And Brian also said that you guys do everything in-house, like as far as recording, producing, everything. And you run a studio? You do kind of more.
Yeah, we kind of started the whole thing out of sort of necessity, where we were just realizing we were writing and recording in what was our practice space, and quickly realized that this band just worked so much better, more efficiently, and was able to be so much more creative, having no time limits, no restraints by any means. And we've since moved it to a new location. It's called Dust and Stone Recording Studio. And yeah, it's been about 6 years going now, but it was a complete game changer for us, and for everything that, not just for XIXA, but like everything we're involved in. We're working on I'm producing Brian's solo record in there right now. And I think everyone in the band, everyone around us, we've just realized this huge potential of having our own space, having our own time. And
was the Bloodline record recorded there, or was that done outside of
that one, as it was the first group of recordings that we did with the band, was done in the original Dust and Stone location, which is not where we're at now. And I believe there was a couple other studios that we used for some of the tracking, but it's definitely all mixed in-house and all produced by us. Yeah,
that's cool. I think what I think is really cool about your band and your guys' dynamic is that Brian can put out a solo record and you'll produce it for him, and it's not like some weird like, why aren't you using these songs for our band? Like, I would, you know what I mean? Like, I could see that being a thing with most bands. Like, oh, you want to be solo now? Okay, well, bleh. But like, you guys always had that dynamic with that.
Brian, was there some crossover on this record? I can't remember.
I think there was some stuff that I wrote for like demos for XIXA that didn't make it. There's at least one. And I was like, well, fuck it. I'll try to do something with it for a solo record. I mean, the way I think of it is like, you could put it out on any like solo record of mine or Gabe's. And then if it makes it onto a XIXA record, it's going to sound entirely different. I mean, it's just, if it's a good song, it should work either way. It's not going to sound the same at all. I don't see the problem with doing that.
I think it's cool that you guys actually, you know, support each other in that aspect when it comes to pursuing solo careers. It
is kind of unique. I think, yeah, I'm like Gabe said, it's just you just try to keep it light and organic and simple, because you're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs anyways. It's kind of the natural evolution of any band. I mean, I'm always going to make music. Gabe's always going to make his own music. That's going to be like something that sustains for a really long time, and I think everyone else in the group kind of knows that. So we had our own solo music before this group was even founded. So
sure,
it's all good. And you know, we prioritize the band, so it's not that crazy.
Yeah, that's cool though, just to be able to do that and say, hey, I got this song, you know, and it's not like, why didn't we use that for our, like, for the band?
right, yeah,
that's cool. Well, okay, tell me about the Code. Was the Code recorded at your new studio location, or was it ready yet? And what was the big takeaway from that album?
The Code was completely done at the current location. Yeah, for me, that kind of felt like the first full culmination of like where Bloodline, we were realizing the potential, realizing the sonic qualities that we wanted to represent this band with, and the Code for me was all of that executed like to a T. And yeah, it was the same concept with Bloodline, where we
lost. Uh-oh.
Those songs came from the same batch of decided. You got me there?
You there, Gabe? Oh, we lost your video.
I'm here.
You're here? Sorry, you cut out on when you were talking about, you said that, now I can hear you, I can see you. You said we lost you at you recorded these. Just start over. Sorry, what was the big takeaway from the Code?
No, where Bloodline for me was kind of the first realizations of what would and could represent our band sonically and how we worked together, how we wrote together. The Code for me was the first true realization of all of that, where I felt like the production, the writing, the aesthetic of the songs, everything was just on point, and it felt like we had finally reached what was XIXA, what we didn't know was XIXA, but perhaps had been all along. And in the same way that Shift and Shadow, those songs came from the writing sessions of Bloodline. The Code, those songs came from the writing sessions of Genesis. And so it was more or less just for me, a sort of preview and trailer of what this LP was going to be. And I'm so proud of how the Code came out, and that much more proud of the further realization that went into Genesis, the LP.
What would you say, Brian? Would you agree, like, as far as takeaways from the Code?
Yeah, absolutely. Like when we did Shift and Shadow and Bloodline, that all kind of came from the same clump of songs and demos that Gabe was talking about. And that was like 2015, 14, 15 when we were writing. So it didn't get released until 2016. And then we toured for like 2 years, like a shit ton of touring.
Oh, wow.
Like a lot of touring, a lot of reps, you know, like you start to fall in line. You start to each member of the band kind of knows their role a little bit more, like what they're responsible for, like not just sonically, but even the day-to-day, like setting up merch. I don't know. There's just so many things that happen when you're together that long. So by the time you're done with that 2-year cycle and you're ready to record the next batch of songs, it's going to sound more like a band, you know, and more like Gabriel said, like what we were going for, which we didn't really know in Bloodline and Shift and Shadow, our earlier recordings. Now it was really like, oh, that's what we are. And then we can like start to exploit that a little bit more. We can like go in there and manipulate it with recording a little bit more, like, okay, this is what I want to hear this is what I would want to hear if I was a fan of ours. You know, like this is what I would want us to sound like if I was like coming to a XIXA show. And I don't think we really knew that I don't think we had that information going into the first recordings, other than like people like to dance to our cover band. You know, that's like a very general slate right there. And so that's the difference. I think it's just all those reps from touring and just kind of learning our roles and responsibilities within the group.
And that takes us to the new record coming out, Genesis. And you were talking about earlier how the record was done kind of around COVID, right? Was it finished and ready to go, or were you working on it and that happened? Because you said, you know, your member was out from France.
It's been in the can. It's been in the can since, I don't know. It's been in the can for a while. And then COVID made us push it back even further as far as the release. So it's about as cohesive as we've ever been. We've even like having a little bit too much time with it, but I'm really thankful for it, is like we stripped down a couple more songs off of it that we were able to like roll out as singles along the way, which really was great, because now the album's like 10 songs, super like focused, hyper focused. And yeah, when I listen to it, it's like, fuck. All right, so that was cool that we did that. It just seems like like a different world ago, you know.
I was gonna say, did it feel like a long time ago when you recorded the record?
It does. I mean, we've even started demoing for the next record during COVID, because what else are we gonna do? We have a studio and time, and those songs aren't gonna write themselves anyway. So
yeah, I was gonna ask that. Is it? I've talked to a lot of other artists that were kind of in a similar situation where they had a record done. And they're like, okay, I'm gonna put this out in April or May or whatever, and then they're like, I'm not gonna do it, and then like they push the release, but now you're like, those songs are a year plus old, and you're probably tired of singing or hearing them, but like you already have new stuff ready to come out, and I mean, it's kind of like a catch-up game right now with that.
Yeah, I think I don't know how unique it is, but at least for us, when we write and record the songs, it's all happening in the moment. So we'll lay down the basic tracks, basic concepts, and then it's usually a few weeks, if not months, of especially Brian and I going in and just reimagining the tracks we recorded, putting vocals to them, writing melodies to them, and just chopping them up. So by the time it comes touring time, we have to relearn the songs completely. They're not even songs we really recognize, like, to be honest. So I guess thankfully, in a bizarre way, we haven't played these Genesis songs yet. We learned a couple for a couple live streams we did this year, but when it does come time to tour again, these songs are still going to be fresh to us. They're going to be new songs to us. And like Brian said, we've already started demoing out like a whole bunch of new tunes.
That's awesome. What'd you say? Like, what are you most excited about with the release of the album?
Oh man, just to get it out finally. I mean, you can only imagine, we've been sitting on it forever, and we're really proud of it. And to have, like I was saying earlier, we actually have a really great team around us, with management and label and PR, where everyone's kind of on the same page, and the music's great. And it's like, well, we think it's good for us, for our like own metrics of what we want to put out, but whether the public thirsts for it or not, that's, nobody ever can tell, but we're pretty happy with it. And I think we're just stoked to kind of get it out and start the next phase, because it's such a weird time right now. It's not like, oh, I can't wait to tour behind it. You know,
Right.
We've had like 2 European tours pushed back. I don't even know what's going to happen, but it's kind of out of our control.
Yeah. Wow. And then with the label that you guys, did you have a record? Like, is this the first time you're going to put something out with a label other than the first kind of bar guy that started pushing your stuff?
This will be our first record with Julian Records, but
okay. Everything else was on a label too.
Well, yeah, the first EP, Shift and Shadow, and then Bloodline was released in America with Barbase Records, friend from New York.
Yeah.
And then in Europe through Glitter House Records.
Oh, cool. I know Glitter.
Yeah.
I know the name for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been around and
like I think Sub Pop had something to do with them for a while.
I think that was a sub label for Sub Pop. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're a European outlet for them or whatever. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we did those records with them, The Code, and these few singles we just self-released on we just started up our own after the name of the studio, Dust and Stone Records, and self-released a few things. But this will certainly be the most focused and kind of going all in on this one. Julian Records has been great. Like, we can't wait to see what happens with this release.
That's amazing. Yeah. And then you're already talking about live streams. Is that something that you're going to add more to or do more of when the album comes out?
We'll see.
Do you like them or are they just kind of weird?
It was so just like relieving when we all walked into this like situation in our studio, and like I definitely consider everyone involved in our studio very techie guys, but no one had ever fucked with live streams. So
nobody had prior to this.
Yeah,
I think.
The beginning of COVID, we thought we were the most genius fucking band on the planet, because we had our sound engineer mix through our PA, and we put the phone next to the fucking PA and thought we nailed it.
Smart, actually.
As good as it gets.
Right? That is pretty
as
smart.
Good as it gets, baby.
Yeah. And we quickly realized, oh wait, you can just like mix like straight from an interface, direct audio feed. Like, so it's been cool. Like everyone picked up like a whole bunch of new knowledge and trades during this, but I know we're very proud of did a few live streams during the last year, and they only improved. One of them we were able to do was here in Tucson, like a couple months ago. We were able to do a very, very limited seating concert and live streamed it, and that was just so special.
We lost you there, Gabe.
We lost you again.
Oh, you're there. Yes. You're back.
Oh my God. Sorry, y'all.
You're back.
Yeah, the live streaming has just been so cool to attach to what we're capable of now, and to get to do we did a couple in front of a very, very small audience, and that was just so special to get to perform to anybody in person.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say probably just playing to anybody.
I'm pretty happy with our live streams by the end there, when we started really getting into it and like super techie. Like, I feel like if there was like a live stream Grammys for 2020, we'd be up for something. Like we got some good ones in there.
They should that's a brilliant idea. Why haven't they done that?
I don't know. I was like, damn, our shit looks pretty damn good for like an indie rock band from Tucson, Arizona,
Right.
With like a shoestring budget. Like, whoa, we can really get some shit done. So yeah, maybe on like Gabe said, like you pick stuff up during a situation like this, a global pandemic, and I don't see why we wouldn't utilize some of these new tricks like on tour. We can like live stream from Paris or wherever we're playing, London.
I think it changed the game. I mean, and like you said, like live streaming from a different country, or maybe like your final show of a tour. If nobody can, if I'm here in San Diego and you're doing it in Arizona, I can't make it, or I don't know. Like, I think that's really cool, and giving everyone that didn't make it to the show has some sort of experience there. Obviously, it won't
Yeah,
be the
sure.
same, but
Totally.
that's still really cool.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys talking with me today. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. for
Yeah,
having
man,
us,
thank you.
And I do have one more question for you both. I want to see if I can get an answer from each of you. If you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Brian, go first.
Oh man, come on, Gabe. I've said this to aspiring artists here in Tucson, younger artists, and I always say just go to shows, go meet your peers. You don't really have the luxury of being introverted. You almost have to play a character if you are introverted. And yeah, the more people you can meet and the more people you can collaborate with, your network just builds, and it kind of builds exponentially from there. So that's just a small, tiny bit of advice, but it's very realistic and doable.
That's awesome. What about you, Gabriel?
I'd say listen to old music, listen to the classics, man. Listen to where, especially songwriters in America, listen to where American music began with the Delta blues, with old country music. That's where it started, and those roots are important. Bring it back.